Hello everybody! Today you are going to discover the keys to execute perfect sacadas. Either if you are a leader or follower, in this video I'm going to share all the little secrets to make your sacadas 100% trustworthy and awesome. I'm Sirne Mezzasoma and this is Idea Tango. Regardless if you are a leader or a follower, in order to unleash your sacadas, you first need to master some basic tango techniques. Those are the walking, the dissociation, the pivots and the turns. You can check my previous videos and train with my unique exercises in order to become super proficient at those techniques. You can find the links to the previous videos in the description here below. This time, differently than usual, I'm not going to show solo trainings because all the exercises in the previous mentioned videos are already great to train the sacadas too. Instead, I'm going straight to reveal the main technical keys you have to pay attention to make your sacadas flawless. But before diving deep into the sacada secrets, if you want to be always timely informed about the release of new videos, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to turn on the bell to receive the notifications. The keys to a perfect sacada are different for leaders and followers, so I'm going to discuss those separately and I'm going to start from the leaders. Leaders, first thing first, what is a sacada? The main principle of a sacada is that the leader takes the place that was previously occupied by the follower. Thus, whilst the follower is stepping away, the leader steps into the follower's step to take a place. The follower can step away with a backward step, a side step, an ocho forward, or an ocho backward. The leader can step into the follower's step with either the right or the left leg, and with a step forward resulting in a forward sacada, with a step sidewards resulting in a side sacada, or with a step backwards resulting in a backward sacada. We will talk more about steps and directions for both leaders and followers later on in this video, but now it's time to unveil the sacada keys for the leaders. I'm going to show the keys for a forward sacada, but all the principles apply also to a side sacada and a backward sacada. Then leaders, your sacada key number 1 is first lead, then move, as usual in tango. And it might seem obvious, but most of the times it is not when it comes to body coordination. Okay, but what do you have to lead and how do you have to move? In a sacada, the leader wants to take the place of the follower. Thus, first of all, you have to lead the follower away from her place. We will see in key number 2 where exactly to lead the follower, but for now let's assume to lead our graceful partner to our left. Thus, to lead the follower, you have to prepare the step and indicate the direction at the same time. Meaning that you have to start pushing the floor, moving the axis towards the ball of your feet, and start opening the upper body towards your left. In this exact sequence, but basically all at the same time. Then it looks something like the first common mistake is that you push the floor, you move your axis, but you do not indicate the direction to your follower. The results are either that the follower steps backward instead of to your left if the follower is facing the leader, or that the follower is pushed out of the axis if the follower is pivoted with respect to the leader. Whilst the correct movement looks like the second common mistake is that you indicate the direction to your follower but without preparing the step, that is, without pushing the floor and without moving your axis forward. The result will be that your follower is taken by surprise and either she falls into the step, or if she manages to compensate and react in time, her step will be too small with not enough space for you to step into it. Thus, once again, start pushing the floor, move your axis towards the ball of your feet and start opening your upper body towards your left. The third common mistake is that even if you have prepared everything correctly until now, in the end you step without pushing the floor. This means either moving the free leg without moving the axis which remains behind, or moving the hip rather than the entire body. This is an even more common mistake when executing a side saccada. The result is that your follower cannot finish the movement properly and you end up in an awkward distance and an awkward embrace between the two of you. Then apply a correct walking technique and move forward the entire body through the push of the standing leg. The fourth common mistake is that you prepare correctly, you step correctly, but you do not finish your step, and you do not transfer completely the axis to your forward leg. The result, also in this case, is that the follower cannot finish a movement properly. Then make sure to finish your step by completely transferring the axis to the front leg. Leaders, time for your saccada key number 2, which is lead the follower in the correct direction. But which is such a direction? We said that the main principle of a saccada is for the leader to take the place of the follower. Thus, lead the follower in a direction that makes it feasible and comfortable for you to take the follower's place. To further demonstrate the concept, I've asked for the help of my favorite follower. My lovely follower has 2 legs, as all the followers have, I think. Her right leg is the broom and her left leg is the mop. The 3 options you have is lead the follower to a step backward, lead the follower to a diagonal step with different degrees of diagonality, lead the follower to a step around you. However, when you lead the follower around you, you still want to make sure to have enough space for yourself to step comfortably into the follower's step. Therefore, you do not want to lead your follower in a perfect circle around you, but rather a little bit more linearly outside. So you have a little bit more than 90 degrees space to your right and to your left where to lead your follower. Furthermore, when you lead your follower in a backward direction, you can only lead her a step backward. But when you lead the follower to another direction, you can either lead a side step, an ocho forward, or an ocho backward. The saccada key number 3 for you leaders is step in the right place. But which is such a place? Leaders, as you want to take the place of the followers, you need to step next to the standing foot of the follower, which is the foot where she had the weight before starting the saccada. If you lead your follower to a step backward, you will step right behind the heel of the front leg of the follower with either your right leg or with your left leg. If you lead your follower to a step sidewards, you will step right next to her standing foot with either your right leg or your left leg. If you lead your follower to an ocho forward, then you step right in front of the toes of her back foot. In front of the toes, not on the toes. With either your right leg or your left leg. If you lead your follower to an ocho backward, then once again you will step behind the heel of her standing foot with either your right leg or with your left leg. It is of paramount importance for a smooth saccada to step close to the follower's foot. Indeed, this guarantees a perfect switch of positions, which in turn guarantees the frontality, distance and a comfortable embrace are kept all the time between leader and follower. As soon as you step more towards the middle of the follower's step, everything starts going wrong, and a spiral of destruction and devastation ignites. But how do you know where exactly the follower's foot is without looking down? Because you definitely do not want to look down, right, leaders? Well, is ineffective, the follower's foot is right under her shoulder. So before starting the Sakada, if the follower is standing on the right foot, focus on her right shoulder. If the follower is standing on the left foot, focus on her left shoulder, and you will know exactly where to step. This leads me, leaders, to your Sakada key number 4, which is your upper body is always towards your partner. In most of the Sakadas, you lead the follower in a direction and you step in a different direction. This because you want to take the place of the follower, so you have to lead the follower away and step where she previously was. Therefore, dissociate, 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 and yet dissociate. If you do not dissociate and lead the follower with just your arms rather than with the entire upper body, the results are that you lose connection to each other, the embrace becomes uncomfortable, that the distance between you and your partner at the end of the Sakada becomes awkward, and dulcis in fundo, if you leader want to execute a pivot at the end of the Sakada, you will have neither the strength nor the balance to pivot because you did not build up your dissociation. To conclude on the leader side, let's see which Sakada's possibilities you have. When you lead the follower to a step backward, you can only execute a forward Sakada. Indeed, the relative body positions will not allow you to execute a side or a backward Sakada. When you lead your follower to a step sidewards, you can execute a forward Sakada either with your right or with your left. Or you can execute a sideward Sakada with your right leg if you lead the followers towards your left side, or a sideward Sakada with your left leg if you lead the followers towards your right. Or you can execute a backward Sakada with your left leg when you lead the follower towards your left side. In principle, you could also execute a backward Sakada with your right leg while leading the follower towards your right side, but then you have to break the embrace, because otherwise the open side of your embrace will prevent you from dissociating enough. When you lead the follower to an ocho forward, then you can execute a forward Sakada with either your right or your left leg. Or you can execute a sideward Sakada with your right leg if you lead your follower towards your left, or with your left leg if you lead your follower towards your right. Or a backward Sakada with your left leg when leading the follower to your left. Also here, in principle, you can execute a sacada backward with your right leg while leading an ocho forward to your right, but then, once again, you have to break the embrace, otherwise the open side of the embrace will prevent you from dissociating enough. When you lead to your follower and ocho backward, again, you can execute a forward sacada with either your right or your left leg. Or a sideward sacada with your right leg if you lead the follower towards your left, or a sideward sacada with your left leg if you lead the follower towards your right. Or a backward sacada with your left leg when leading the follower to your left. Also here, backward sacada with your right leg whilst leading the follower to your right is possible, but you have to break the embrace. Followers, your turn. Your first sacada key is follow the elbow of your leader. Indeed, one of the most common mistakes is that as soon as you feel the upper body of your partner opening, you start turning around the leader. However, if the leader plans to do a sacada, he doesn't want you to go in a perfect circle around him, but rather he wants to lead you away from him in a diagonal, which might have different degrees of diagonality. To further demonstrate the concept, I've swapped legs with my gentle leader. So now my leader's right leg is the broom, and my leader's left leg is the mop. Let's assume that the leader leads you into an ocho forward towards his left and is planning for a sacada. Therefore, the leader will lead you into an ocho forward while stepping in front of your back foot. In order to create enough space for himself, the leader will lead you slightly in diagonal rather than in a perfect circle around him. In order not to miss the hint of the leader and to properly follow the lead, focus your attention on the leader's left elbow. You want to step exactly underneath the leader's left elbow. Of course, by the time you step, the elbow is already gone, but the idea is that with your foot you want to chase the elbow position. Of course, if the leader is leading you towards his right, you will be chasing the right elbow rather than the left one. This tip is always valid, no matter if the leader is leading you a turn, a sacada, an ocho or something else. By chasing the leader's elbows, you will never miss the direction. The second sacada key for you followers is take a long enough step. Once again, the leader needs some space to step within your step. When the leader prepares the step correctly, you can feel how long your step is supposed to be. Indeed, the more the leader pushes the floor, the longer is your step. The more the leader bends the knees, the longer is your step. Therefore, make sure to pay attention to these details in the lead and to prepare your step by exactly mirroring the leader in terms of amount of floor pushing and level of your body height. Then take a step which is in accordance to the amount of floor pushing and body height. If right now you're thinking, I'm not sure what exactly that means, it's time for you to check my previous video on the walking technique. The link is in the description here below. The third sacada key for you followers is do not forget how to walk and dissociate. Once again, you can review the proper technique of walking and dissociation in my previous videos. Links always in the description here below. For the sacadas especially, what you do not must miss is the projection and the correct transfer of the axis whilst taking the step. When you feel the leader indicating the direction, start the projection of the free leg. This will give confidence to the leader that you got his message, and then he can trust you to give him enough space when stepping. So the leader is reassured that he can decisively step within your step without crashing into your body. Also for you followers, the key 4 of the leaders applies, which is your upper body is always towards your partner. If instead of dissociating and facing your partner with your torso, you just use your arms, the result is disconnection, the embrace becomes uncomfortable, the distance between you and your partner at the end of the saccada becomes awkward, and dulcis in fundo, if there is a pivot at the end of the saccada, you will have neither the strength nor the balance to execute it because you did not build up your own dissociation. Finally, a tip that is extremely useful for both leaders and followers. Take your time, don't rush. Executing a flawless saccada is not about speed, it's all about precision. Thus, adjust the speed of your saccada to the amount of practice you have. The less the practice, the slower your saccada, so that you can think of all the technical details whilst executing it. Once the correct body coordination is in your muscle memory, then you can play with speed, accents, emphasis, etc. If this video was helpful, make sure to register to my YouTube channel to stay up to date. It only takes one click on the subscribe button here below. And if you would like to see more tutorials like this, do not forget to like this video, leave me a comment and share this video with your tango friends. Practice at home and enjoy your technique exercises.